Okay, so Berserk episode 2, done watching it. Let's get right into the review here. Okay, this week was a little bit better than last week. Of course, that's not hard to do when you're completely shitting it up, but, you know, I'll start it off with a positive. I'm starting to like the music a bit more, but that awkward, just pure instrumental metal in the background just does not work for me at all. Not really gonna talk a lot about the technical aspects except for here and there because I'd just be rehashing a lot of what I said last time. Okay, first off, really, the story is kind of set up at this point with the direction that, if you're a casual fan, you're not going to know everything that you need to know about the characters to really get the full impact of the story. But for hardcore fans of Berserk, people who've read the manga and who adore it, like myself, it's just... How do I put this? It just butchers the story, Characterization's off, just everything feels weird. Anyway, for some reason they kind of screwed up the names of the Pope this week or something. I don't know what was going on with that. It was just in passing. Maybe that was a translation error because I'm watching on Crunchyroll. Who knows? The 2D this week, that was really good. I absolutely love the 2D stuff. Of course, the art's not as good as the manga, but gotta say, when it actually does go to 2D, it's pretty good. But the problem is, you see that 2D, especially during the fight scene at the beginning, you go to the 2D, looks phenomenal, and then it cuts back to the 3D. And it's just such an awkward transition, and it's awful. But that also brings me to another point, because they use the 2D for flashbacks to the past. Why are they doing flashbacks to the past? That's not in the manga. Is it because they kind of screwed up the story with the movies? I don't know here. And I'm still having issues because they skipped Lost Children, which is one of the best arcs in the manga. Why the hell are you skipping Lost Children? It shows that Guts is still human somewhere inside all of that rage and all that anger and murderous intent. I don't know. Awkward spots of Zoom, Let's see, what else? Violence got kind of cartoonish. Doesn't really work well because, Berserk has more realistic violence. And yes, it is bloody and gory, but it's not to that point of being ridiculous. But this just kind of takes that violence, makes it cartoonish, and then it feels way too over the top. I don't know. The facial animations for characters, Guts in particular, when he's during the fight scenes, they don't look real. It's kind of reaching that point of, what am I looking at? It's like looking at a mannequin, if a mannequin could move its mouth. It's awkward. That doesn't work. The egg. Holy crap. Yeah, the freaking egg shows up, and they kind of hint at what it is, but why are they hiding back? At this point in the manga, every single reader already knows what the egg is. It gets explained within the first 5 chapters. So why are they acting like it's some big mystery that needs to be explained to the characters and the audience? That doesn't make sense. If this all goes back to if they properly adapted Golden Age in the first place, or at least, I don't know. Just the egg part is not working. Let's see, what else here? Yeah, they're bringing in the ideological portions of Berserk, but the thing is, they put in kind of too much of it in ratio with everything else. That's just, it's there in the manga, but it's told in a way that doesn't make it seem preachy, whereas all the ideology points in here just seem really preachy, like, oh, you can't, talking to fairness, oh, you're just a figurehead, or God doesn't exist, or whatever. No, it doesn't work. Um, yeah, why does Guts still sound like an edgelord? And why is he talking so much? This is Guts we're talking about. He only talks when he wants to piss somebody off or something. Um, the torture scene really got me because it was just it was extremely awkward. The animation, how quickly it happened, how it made Fairness seem more like a kid, where she does feel like that when you first meet her in the manga, but she changes later on. But they kind of made her seem too kiddish, but it was really awkward in the way it was animated. Whereas in the manga, there's like a sexual feeling to it because Fairness kind of sexualizes torture at that point in her life. Um, and there was no tension. That is an extremely tense scene in the manga. Like, it's slow, and she's just getting off on torturing Guts, even though he doesn't really feel it. It's just this scene of pure tension because you're kind of seeing things from her perspective. The anime completely lost that. Okay, let's see. There was a little bit too much comedy in there for me. Berserk is extremely dark, and it's not dark to the point of edge, but for some reason, they're just choosing to put a little more comedic effects in there, and it's not Berserk. Oh yeah, the horse running at the end there with just the horse chase, how it just looks like when you look at one of those old Hollywood flicks where they'll have they filmed it with the car just sitting there because they couldn't track it with the camera at the time, and they would just have a background on a conveyor belt as it rolled by. The horse scenes looked exactly like that. Oh god. The only other thing I can really say right now, pacing of the episode, it went by too quick in my opinion. So I still have big issues with the pacing. Overall, this was a lot better than last week, but I've got a lot of issues with the script. Honestly, let me just say this. There is no excuse to not adapt Berserk 1-to-1 at this point, because we've had a Hunter x Hunter adaptation, which a lot of people consider to be perfect. I know there's some divide in the fan base that say it's too chipper, but a lot of people consider it to be perfect. We've also had the JoJo adaptation, which is nailing it completely. I can honestly recommend watching the anime over reading the manga because it's the same experience, only it's even more fun in anime format. So it's just, you have that, and then you have Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which, there's a lot of people, myself included, who think the original adaptation was better, even though it was different. But the fact that it got an adaptation that was 1-to-1, and then there's stuff like Shiaya Furu and frickin' Kaiji. So it's like you have all these adaptations out there that perfectly adapt their source material. And it's becoming way more common that it's not even just, we'll adapt it and then cut corners here, but adapt it 1-to-1, making everything exactly like the manga. Berserk deserves that respect, and the studio is just not treating it that way. There is no reason for that, and I'm still just really disappointed. This week was a little bit better, but look, if you want to get into Berserk, read the manga. Don't watch this.